Okay, the counter is up to 2310 there. And also the patch notes are here. So we're going to go ahead and go through patch 113 patch notes and kind of discuss about what is in the game here, what's coming, etc. So starting from the beginning, once in a generation, the greatest summoners of Teleria must arise and test themselves against a series of daunting challenges set by the Arbiter. Those who emerge victorious, yada, yada, yada. So they have a thing here. And then the new feature, Battle Pass, is a feature that encompasses a variety of daily and weekly challenges that all players of level 5 and above will be able to access. So this is basically anyone who's not a spam bot will have these. The level 5, I'm sure, is to probably help fight against maybe like just account spam creation or something. I'm not sure. That in turn earns rewards that include resources, shards, champions, and even unique avatars to distinguish your player profile. And then they do say you earn champions through this. So keep in mind daily and weekly challenges, meaning if they do a weekly challenge, this could be a new way of doing like tournament type of rewards where it's like, hey, you have to beat this weekly challenge to get this legendary or this epic. And that would be kind of nice because then you're not really competing with another person to get that. You could just do it yourself. Now, well, hopefully, because they don't say if these challenges are competing against other people, like, you know, earn 1,000 points in Platinum Arena or something. They don't say if it will be related to PvP, but I'm assuming these are, in fact, challenges that basically anybody could do. I'm hoping so anyway. If you forget to collect your points and rewards manually, don't worry, they'll be applied to your account automatically, except the XP boost, which will go to your inbox for 100 days. That way you can collect them when you need them. That's nice. And now there's two levels of the Battle Pass. There's the core and the gold. And to break it down simply, the core is for everybody. So if you are a free-to-play player, you're going to be getting the core for free. This is very nice. This is a good move. I'd like to say thank you for doing that. This is Cold Brew made the good point during one of my streams that this is pretty much industry standard. Battle Pass does release both a free and a premium, and that is what they're doing here. There's the Gold Pass, which you can purchase from the shop, and then you get everything the basic one does, plus you can get the season-long raid boost, which will give you extra silver and XP from all battles. So everything, you'll get a bonus there as well from the gold one. Now, moving on here, daily challenges, they're open to everybody. You'll get 4 new challenges every day, and they reset at 00 UTC and are replaced by new ones, regardless of whether you completed them or not. So kind of like Tavern Brawl style from Hearthstone, you know, rotates in and out. Weekly challenges, same deal. It gives you the chance to earn even more points, win better rewards, yada, yada. You earn even extra rewards if you manage to complete all the weekly challenges. So basically, dailies are smaller, weeklies are bigger, nothing too complicated. You can only collect weekly challenge rewards if you have the Gold Pass. So weekly is locked out to paying customers. Moving on here, the Faction Wars, there is the Dwarf Crypt. Now, the Dwarf Crypt is coming immediately because I just crunched my Mountain King, so that would make sense. And they say a little, like one of their little stories here, I'm not going to bother reading, but basically we're getting the Dwarf Crypt, which will be coming out in 113. This is pretty cool because I think my Dwarf team is pretty good, so I'm kind of excited for that. Balance changes, new buffs and debuffs. So I don't know if under balance changes, I don't know if new debuffs and buffs should be balance changes. These are just new additions to the game. I'd say the balance changes actually probably start down here. But the biggest thing in this patch right here is I'm going to cut to it is poison sensitivity. So there's new debuffs coming that are going to be on the new champions. All of these you see here are not being added to current characters or being edited in. These are all being added to new champions, starting with the most important one, which is poison sensitivity. I'm going to read it. Is a debuff that increases the damage taken from the poison debuff by the recipient, can increase damage taken by 25 or 50%. This essentially works the exact same way that Weaken works, only this now works for poison instead. My one gripe with this is they removed this from Weaken. Weaken used to also increase the damage done with like poison and HP burns. They said that they thought that was overpowered, so they removed it, but then they added it to a new debuff, which is only on new characters. You know, you can get why that's maybe a little frustrating for me, okay? But the other ones are kind of cool. decreased crit rate, decreased damage by 15 or 30%. These are fine. I'm okay with these debuffs. You know, we have an increased crit rate. We should have a decreased one. We're also getting strengthen. This is maybe the second most important thing, which is a buff that decreases the damage, or excuse me, decreases the damage inflicted on the recipient, can decrease the damage by 15 or 25%. So imagine you have somebody with that new gear, the HP and defense gear that we were talking about in the last video, with the 30% reflecting debuffs, and then you have them with a strengthen buff on them, and their pure defense or HP, and then you have like a resistance aura or something, or another HP aura. I mean, these people are going to get very tanky very quickly. And then we have a new buffs, increased accuracy. I think that's pretty cool. That's probably a good buff. And then increased critical damage. That's a great buff as well. So I like those changes there. I think the strengthen and poison sensitivity might be a little game changing, and maybe trying to, you know, heavily monetize new OP characters. But, you know, it's a game that happens. Clan boss changes. This basically explains what I showed in the last video of the clan hopping to get tons and tons of chests. They are saying that this is now fixed as of 1.13, so we're going to move on to the multi-battle here. Multi-battles have a significant buff in this update. Now they will work as this. The number of raid card, like no raid card battles are 30, so it's going from 15 to 30, you're doubling it, and if you have the raid card or the raid pass, it's 100 multi-battles instead of... what is it? Instead of 40. So now you get a little bit more than double. You still get the bonus XP. And this patch, this month, the multi-battles are also going to work in dungeons. So they're probably going to get some data out of this, trying to figure out if people actually use this in dungeons or not. But I think this is a pretty cool change. I really like being able to use it in dungeons. This would be nice for streaming. I can sit there and let it autoplay and keep a better conversation with the chat. That all in all, that is a very nice change. So thank you for that. Champion rebalance. I'm going to open up the champion rebalance here. Now, the champion rebalances, I do actually think they nailed personally. Their champion rebalances were for legendary characters only on this one. And the legendary character that I think got the best change is Shamrock, but Sithali also got a decent change. Angar got a decent... I mean, honestly, all of the changes that I think they put in the legendaries here were pretty solid. So we're going to zoom in here and take a look. So starting with Angar... his basic attack now scales from HP. His second move now attacks all enemies, changed from just 2 random attacks, and places a counterattack buff in addition to a 30% reflect damage buff on him for 2 turns. That's a great change. His A3 increases damage reduction. Now each hit will reduce damage taken by 5% up to 30% in 1 round from 4 and 20 respectively. Now, moving on to Foley here, this is a really cool change. And now his AoE now attacks all enemies instead of just 4 random, and decreases their turn meter by 15%. Then attacks the targeted enemy killed by this skill cannot be revived, meaning he does his basic after he does the attacks all enemies. So he does his AoE, then he attacks and hits for 4 more times. This is a great change for Clan Boss, because now when he uses his move, he's going to get his basic attack in as well, and his base speed is up to 100 from 94, is what they said here. And then Sethalia now additionally places a block debuff for 2 turns, and when ascended, removes all debuffs from target ally before healing them, and also heals all allies by 20% of their max HP, and fills their turn meter by 15% if the target is fully healed by this skill. So we get a little bit of... bonus turn meter gain there. That's nice. And then you also get the block debuffs, but they don't say whether that's on everyone or only on one person. So I'm assuming it's only on one. And then the A3 is reworked here, whereas a 75% chance of removing all buffs from all enemies, then decreases the turn meter of all enemies by 10% and fills the turn meter of all allies by 10%. Also decreases the turn meter of all allies by 20% and fills the turn meter of all allies by 20% if 5 or more buffs were removed. So this is not bad either. Sethalia got a pretty decent change, might be usable now. We'll have to see. I have a 6-star one, but I want to move on to Shamrock, because Shamrock, in my opinion, got the big win here. And so his Lucky Swap, which is his basic attack, additionally has a 35% chance of stealing the removed buff. So now he can actually receive it himself instead of just removing it. That's fantastic. Then Lucky Charms now, instead of the random thing it did, now it's a 60% increased debuff on all allies, increased defense debuff on all allies, then places a 30% speed on allies if they're more than 50 HP. This is good because in the start of the match, when you want speed, you're going to have more than 50% HP, and then has a 50% chance of placing a 30% critical rate buff on those allies for 2 turns. And then places a revive buff on all allies with less than 50% HP for 2 turns, with the 50% chance of placing continuous heal on those allies for 2 turns. That is very good. Revive, this is a 100% chance if they have below 50% HP. Revive on death. That's probably going to be exploited combined with some kind of Lightsworn or something and Painkeepers. If you're able to continually revive people on death over and over and over again, you're going to be basically invulnerable. So Clan Boss doesn't execute you and remove that buff. If you die with revive on death, you can still use it. I guarantee you there's going to be a way to cheese this once somebody goes out there and figure this out. I'll try to do it myself. Now, Uncatchable additionally fills the turn meter of all allies by 15% if any enemy's target turn meter is below 50%. So basically, if you lower it below the bit, kind of like K-Rose A3, then you guys get some bonus turn meter. Those are very nice, needed things because this A3 was garbage. This A2 is now significantly better. His A1 is better. Shamrock got a win. Now, Tormund, they're nerfing. He no longer works with artifact sets, turn meters filled from mastery, healing, or the buffs or effects that take place at the start of the round. This is a good change. This will now allow people to change masteries back to what they should be able to be and use immortal gear once again. Fantastic change for Tormund. This is better for Arena. And then Yannicka has probably the most interesting change out of all of them, which is she attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 50% chance of placing leech for 2 turns. That's standard. Or attacks all enemies 2 times if the champion is under a veil. So now she hits 2 times in AoE if she's under a veil. Then her A2 now places a perfect buff veil on her. And if she's ascended, will be for 3 turns and grants an extra turn. So she veils herself, her veil is always going to be up, and then she gets an extra turn. That's nice, so she's basically completely always stealth. And then Elven Judgment now ignores shield buffs on enemies, now also removes the shield buffs from target if this champion is under a veil or perfect veil, then deals extra damage equal to 15% of the value of the shield removed. This is going to be insane in Magic Keep. You'll basically remove the buff, then one-shot the Magic Keep person, so I'm really looking forward to that. Other than that, I'm not really sure. It depends on the multiplier with the shield. We'll have to see, but I really like these champion changes. All of these, I feel like we're not just slapping on base stats. These were like smart changes. The thing like the Foley AoE where he does the AoE then attacks, so it helps him with like bosses, but also is better for executing people. That's a smart change. So the Shamrock, this is the win. For me, I think the legendary champion rebalances were well done. So I will say credit where credit is due, but I will go back to the patch and we'll continue our opinion on this. So now the miscellaneous ones, which is Google Play and Game Centers are now viable to be connected by Raid Shadow Legends. A new pop-up alert has been added to the Tavern Champion Fusion, warning players about sacrificing champions who have artifacts or accessories equipped. And then a number of passive skills received visual animations. Artifact upgrade animation is increased by 50%. So it's way, way, way quicker now. So that is the patch in its entirety. Now, I'll give my little bit of opinion here just at the end in case you're curious. I think the Battle Pass is cool because free-to-play people get it. I understand that there's a premium version. This is fairly industry standard as far as Battle Passes go. I don't really mind this Battle Pass. I don't see anything in here that's too concerning, except maybe the acquisition of champions through weekly challenges as another monetization gate, maybe. Other than that, I really don't mind the Battle Pass at all. I think that's cool. The daily and weekly challenges, sure. The Faction Wars Dwarf Crypt will be fun just because I have dwarves, but after we've done this once, this is dead content again. Balance just changes. The debuffs and buffs, I'm okay with most of these. I think Strengthen and Poison Sensitivity could be a little busted, but I like the other ones. I'm totally fine with the other ones. I think they're good for PvE, especially. Clan Boss changes, this is good. If you see in my last video, the people were getting hundreds of chests, all day long. Multi-battle raid, this is great. This is a buff, I like that. But overall, I would give this patch like a 6.5 out of 10 because I don't mind the things in the patch. If I'm going to be fair here, because you guys know me, I'm horribly negative when I need to be. I'm fair when I feel like being fair, and I'm positive when I think things are positively going well. So what I'm going to say about this patch is the things that are in the patch aren't bad. Like, this isn't a bad patch. It really isn't. What is bad about the patch is how long it took to come out, which is why people are angry, because for this long of time between patches, we were expecting major game-changing content. We were expecting giant chunks of content, not rebalances and some battle passes, which is why people are upset. I will say, if this type of patch happened every month, with a smaller new feature and like tweaking like they did with the rebalances, maybe not new buffs and debuffs every month, but, you know, retweaking the clan boss, doing the champion rebalances, I think this would be about right. I mean, this would probably be what we need to see every month. There's a lot of good changes in here, a lot of quality of life focus and legendary balance rechanges, but I don't understand why this took so long. Personally, in my opinion, this is not a large enough patch for the time acquired, which gives me concern about the release dates of future patches. And obviously they're saying 1.13.5 is coming soon. They're calling it a 0.5, but they, in my personal opinion, they've lost all sense of coming soon to me, and I will never again, unless this patch really hits in like a week or something, I'm never going to believe them when they say something's coming soon again. That's my personal opinion on the patch. I tried to give a non-emotional, fairly balanced, reasonable approach on it. I didn't hate the patch. I just hated how long it took to get. Okay, guys, I love you. Please do subscribe. We've been jumping in subs lately. I'm going to show you real quick here, actually, if I pull it up here and show you my channel. We've been growing at a pretty funny rate. So if I show you Social Blade here, which kind of gives you a rough idea of how YouTube works, look at this spike. Look at this insane spike. So thanks, guys, for that. And I'll see you on the live stream after the video, as is tradition. See you on the next video. Love you all. Thanks for bumping up the counter, and I'll see you on the live stream.